And then, there we go. Right, so let's get right into it. So why is Freshers Fair so important? Okay, so this is your opportunity to gain more members and ultimately gain more publicity. If you've got more members, you'll ultimately have more money, more opportunities to do the things you want to do, which could be things like organising events, working with other societies, clubs, even other universities, etc. So this is really the most important event, because without members, you can't really run your society or club or your project at all, okay? The other thing that's really important about Freshers Fair, I'm sure this will be quite close-hearted to a lot of you and mean quite a lot to you. This is a study from 2007. Students are significantly more likely to drop out of university if they do not engage with a society or club. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you weren't with your societies or clubs, and there wasn't any societies or clubs at the university. You might also agree with that, and you might be more tempted to drop out of university. So you are a bit of a lifeline for students. You do need to take that responsibility. Okay, so societies and clubs are essential for new students to help them find a social group and ultimately an identity early on in university, to make it much more comfortable for them in university and ultimately to give them a much better experience at university. So we'll go through the information of Freshers Fair firstly, and then Angela's going to take you through some tips for Freshers Fair with your tables, your stalls, and you're giving out freebies, etc. So Freshers Fair is on the 7th of October, that's Friday the 7th of October, in the squares from 11 AM till 5 PM. And there will also be a quiet hour between 11 and 12. Okay, we'll go through what that means in a little bit more detail later on. Okay, maps and confirmations will be sent out in the coming weeks. So they haven't been sent out yet, so don't panic yourselves if you haven't received anything yet. Okay, no stalls have been submitted via the type form. Hopefully all of you submitted a request for a stall on the type form. No stalls will be denied a table if you've submitted it before the deadline. Ultimately, we should have enough tables to make sure everyone gets what they need. Okay, but we won't guarantee anyone who went after that deadline. Okay, so there will be an opportunity as well for any performances or showcasing your society, club or project via our performance area or activities tent. So for example, if you're origami society, you probably don't want a really large performance area when you're folding a little piece of paper. Whereas if you've got maybe a dance routine for pole dancing or dance club generally, you'd be more appropriate for you to be with the performance area rather than the activities tent. The activities tent could be something small. It doesn't have to be necessarily completely specific to your society, club or project, but it would be better if it was a little bit more specific. Okay, so if you would like to be interested in that, you can email us at susops@essex.ac.uk and we can do our best to make sure that can happen for yourselves. Okay, please make sure if you are interested and you do email us, you give us as much information as possible about what you'd like to do, and then we'll do our best to accommodate your requests. Okay, so you have been allocated stalls that are within close vicinity to other stalls that link to your society, club or project. Okay, so we've tried to keep it so there's almost areas to the Freshers Fair in which if you are looking for a certain area, if you're interested in law, for example, a lot of the law societies would be in one place. For example, racket sports would be in one place, etc. Okay, so football would be with women's and men's football, and then futsal, etc., etc. Some of you who've got volunteering projects, we've also tried to pay you in certain charities, other volunteering projects, or societies and clubs that would be closely associated. So, a few things you need to know. There's no alcohol at stalls at all, no smoking at stalls, that includes vapes. Okay. Please be respectful to all those who are stewarding or managing the events. We're doing our best to make sure this goes as smoothly as possible and as fun and efficient as possible. Things will probably go wrong. Please understand that we are trying our best to make sure it goes as right as possible. Okay? Please be respectful to the other stall holders. You're all going to be quite closely packed together. Just try and have a good time and make sure you don't get anyone's nerves. Okay? You won't have access to electricity provided unless you have previously asked for it and we've agreed with you about it. If you really need it for some reason, let us know and we'll see what we can do for you, okay? But you should have probably put that on the type form beforehand. So, when you're actually at the stalls or at the fair and you're selling your stall to people, you're going to want to sign up members to your mailing list. So you will all be given a QR code on your tables. People can scan it with their phones or take a picture of it if they wish to do so later. I would encourage people to get the QR codes, sign up then and there, okay? And that will direct your attendees to your webpage on essexstudent.com, or if you're a volunteering project, it will link them into Grad and Cal instead, okay? So societies will have a free trial membership set up that will expire on the 31st of October. I think it was 24 days free of charge beforehand. You will also have your normal membership available too, should they wish to straight away buy that membership. Okay. Clubs will have their social memberships and also their playing memberships online. So if they wish to have a trial of it first with the social membership, or they go straight into the normal membership, they'll be able to do that. So due to GDPR, you can't collect data from interested people on a list, which, for example, names, emails, phone numbers. You can't do that. They have to do it by the QR code, because otherwise we would risk a GDPR breach, okay? And then your society or club or project would be liable. So this is why we can't have any other setup other than the QR code setup. So on the day, arrive by 10 AM and your table will be set up for you. That doesn't mean we're going to put all your items out for you, etc. You're going to be bringing those yourselves. But you will have your table, etc. set up in your allocated slot. Okay? Please don't arrive before, because we won't be ready. You'll probably get in the way, especially if you've got loads of things you're bringing in. We'll have a lot of people carrying tables around, making sure they're in the correct positions. Okay? Ensure you have all of your equipment and you've communicated a plan with your team. So make sure, if you're only going to do the first 2 hours and then someone else from your team is going to do the next 2, etc., make sure there's not a time when there's no one on your table. There's nothing that reflects worse on your society or club or project if it's got a nice banner and there's no one behind the table and people are interested in it. Because you can't do much, especially if there's just a QR code. You can't sell your club, society or project to people. Okay? If you have a problem on the day, talk to your square manager. There'll be someone in a high-vis jacket, and they will help as best as they possibly can. If it is something you could have avoided beforehand, definitely have a think about things you possibly could have avoided beforehand, because you could tell us beforehand, instead of relying on them on the day. Okay? And then set up stall and get ready for the day, ready to go. So quiet hour, mentioned it a little bit earlier, we'll go into a little bit more detail now. So this is from 11 till 12, this will be the quiet hour. So this is for people who might find it a little bit more difficult to navigate there during the height of the event. So during this hour, there should be no music to be played during this time at all. And please interact with those who come to your stall, but allow them to come and speak to you rather than getting right in their faces and really trying to sell it, shouting and screaming. Okay? So food, any food that you want to provide on your stall must either be pre-packaged with all the ingredients and allergens clearly marked. So things like Haribo, sweets, etc. should all already have that information on them if you're going to give out those. They're quite common things people bring. If it's not pre-packaged, it must not include any high-risk foods such as cooked meat and poultry, smoked salmon, cheesecake, prepared salads and vegetables, cooked sliced meats, cooked chicken pieces, milk, cream and ice cream, meat gravies, sauces, pate and meat pies, eggs, seafood and shellfish, cooked rice, pasta, potato and vegetables that aren't high in protein. That's quite a list. I'm not sure how many of you were planning on bringing a lot of those things like shellfish and gravy, but if that's your thing, that's up to you. You can't bring those. So food continue just there. So all allergens must be displayed clearly. They should already be on packaged food. If you've got them, just make sure they are. They must have been prepared in a sanitary kitchen, and then it must have been prepared by someone with a valid food safety certificate. You can get those on your exec member resources, as I mentioned in the events training previously before. If anyone has any questions about that, I can show you where to get that at the end of the session. Okay? And you must supply that certificate to us by Friday, the 23rd of September. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Angela now to give you some tips about Freshers Fair.
Hi. So a lot of the stalls on the Freshers Fair have freebies, like a lot of little free stuff that they're handing out, so that students are actually interested and come and talk to you. So useful advice is choose which freebies will be used. Try to think of sustainability, so that it's not something that is can be only used once and that's it. Yeah, I just try to think about that. Try to think about like if it's original, so if they can get like the same pens from the 3 different stalls, they're obviously not really going to be interested in your stall. Don't give out items that are outdated. So like, I don't know, like popcorn or something that has expired. And yeah, try to think of like how does it tie to your specific project or society, or maybe it doesn't have to really tie with like your society project or club. Maybe it can just be something that's really useful and really fun and really different. Maybe something that can make students laugh and just kind of like they will remember you by that little thing that they got. I remember when I went on my first freshers fair, like I picked up like so many things and I put them around my room, and obviously like some of them were like really stupid, like small stuffed animals, but still like it meant a lot, because when you're a fresher coming to your room, it's all empty, like you don't have anything to put in. So these are kind of like new memories, something that they can have and like remember their first freshers fair by. And obviously ensure that you have enough of the stuff so that you don't run out in like the first hour. And also one tip, personal tip is, although it's free, kind of target it to people that are really interested. A lot of people might just come and like take stuff and then go away, which takes away from people who might actually like be interested in your project and might talk to you. So I know it's hard to see really who's interested, but I feel like if they are, they're just gonna come and talk to you, and you can kind of see if someone is just there to like pick up a free pen, or if they're there to actually talk to you and interested in your project. An important thing, oh sorry, there's no eye. An important thing to do is like try to sell your stall. So this is also like kind of like a real life opportunity, because although you're promoting your like society club or volunteering project, this is something that some people do in their like regular jobs. So it's also like a really good experience to gain like some skills. So try to think of like a salesperson. What would you do to make people interested in your product? I think that's like a really fun way of thinking about it, because that way like you also have like strategic planning and everything. So the most important thing for me personally is making your stall stand out. So if you just have like tons of stalls that are like all, you know, black or white cloths and everything is the same, students are not really going to be interested in it. One like really fun thing is, for example, societies that are representing different like countries. If you have like colors of your flags or something like that, I think that's really nice, because it makes you stand out and show like who you really are without them having to come and read it out. Be very welcoming, but also don't be pushy. Like try to not, like as Alex said, come into people's faces, but also like smile and just like try not to be, you know, just sitting there and not doing anything. Uniforms, if you think it would be fun, try to kind of like color coordinate with other people who are there, like promoting your stall. So maybe that like even when you're walking around Freshers Fair, if they saw you and they like remembered like your outfit or something, they can still talk to you about your project. Freebies, yeah, I already covered that. And yeah, one thing that's also really fun is photos of past activities. You can be as creative with this as possible. You can also like maybe create like a slideshow of photos, or like a fun YouTube video if you have the skills, and maybe put the QR code so that they can see it. Yeah, just try to be as creative as possible, because a lot of these students come from maybe like places where they didn't really have societies like or much sports clubs, so it might be useful for them to see how it really looks like in real life, so they know what they're signing up for. A really bad Freshers Fair stall, oh my god, all of you who were here like the years before know that there's so many of these when people are like not really interested in their project or society, and you can really see it by the table being empty, nothing is there, they don't have any colors, they just have like a one sheet of paper that maybe shows this QR code or the name of the society or the club. or it's really like messy, unorganized, plain, doesn't stand out, no images. Just like obviously try to think like what would attract you. You wouldn't come to like a empty table and talk to someone about something. Yeah, just try to kind of target the audience. A good freshers stall is obviously as many people as possible, because if it's just like one person, not only technically you're like more tired and you have to talk to anyone, but like if it's more people, other groups and other people might come to you and talk to you more. If they see that you're having fun, that you're also chatting around, that you're kind of like, you know, fun people to be around with, obviously that attracts other people to come and talk to you. Make sure that all of the equipment and items kind of fit into your society or club or volunteering project, so that like if you're, I think that's pretty like self-explanatory. If you're like a football club, don't have like a hockey stick or something. The same with like societies, try to have it as original and as unique. Again, like I can't emphasize this enough. When you have something that really stands out, makes other people remember you, they're going to remember your project maybe for the whole year by that first impression. Oh, I saw that funny thing on their freshers fair stall. Make it very interactive. I know that, for example, I was part of kickboxing club last year, and a fun thing they did is they had a president wear like cardboard paper, and they had a wet sponge, and anyone could come in and like just throw the wet sponge at him, and it was all like good fun. So you could literally come in and like, it was like all safe, it wasn't like anything, but it's still something that's like really unique and something that doesn't happen every day. You don't get to like throw sponges at someone every day. Also, I remember last year, for example, Women in STEM, they had a really, really good stall, and that actually got me as a student interested in the society, is that they were also, they were having like a giveaway, like everyone who bought the membership for the society, I believe, in like within the first week or something, they were automatically entering a giveaway, and then like they would like get the prize after like a week. So it's a really cool way of like getting people really interested in your society or project. So just try to be as original as possible. Oh, I kind of said this, but obviously like increase your interactivity. So have like memes, have I don't know, like maybe funny pictures, maybe some specific objects, as I said. Use appropriate humor, like obviously let's not offend anyone. Try to work with other stalls, maybe if like it's two volunteering projects or two societies that are kind of like similar, or they don't even have to be, but kind of like create something fun, so that like maybe that you're helping them and they're helping you, because if they come to your stall, if they're interested in you, and then you automatically draw the attention to the other stall. Oh my God, you know what I mean? Like if you collaborate with others, then you're all getting more members, basically. Pictures and images, yeah, I said that. So, for example, you can put something like this so that people can come and talk to you. I think like it's really fun. Or something like Michael Jordan's made at basketball, which I agree with. Just kidding. But again, obviously don't put anything. I personally wouldn't put anything that's very controversial and something that can easily, you know, get people like fighting against. And obviously don't try to be respectful to minority groups and everyone. Like don't put something that's like, yeah, controversial, because there has been times where like there were like stalls, not on Freshers Fair, but on campus in general, where people would put something and like a lot of people didn't agree with it, and then it would just kind of like create this conflict. So just try to avoid that. Just I would go with something funny, something universal, something that like you can't really argue about, because it's like good laugh. Yeah.
So just lastly, just to highlight the things that you shouldn't do for Freshers Fair, so don't be overly pushy at someone. Some people aren't actually going to be interested in your interests. Funnily enough, not everyone is going to be interested in the fine arts of art history or something like that. Other people may be, but not everyone is going to be. Okay. Don't make it a competition with other stalls about who's going to sign up for most people or who can talk to this person, etc. And make sure they sign up for theirs rather than your one. Like, it's not about that, it's just making it a fun environment to join the university in the first place. Don't wait for people to come talk to you. The worst thing you can do at Freshers is just sit behind your table on your phone. Position yourself around the table, go around and talk to people. You don't necessarily have to stay in your allocated area. The table is going to have to stay in your allocated area, but you and your group can go and see if you can find people walking around the Freshers. Okay? Don't stay seated, that kind of links into the last one. Make sure you don't ignore people. Just because you might be the basketball society and someone is only 4 foot tall or something doesn't mean they're not necessarily good at basketball, for example. Okay. Don't leave your table unattended, as we mentioned earlier. And then lastly, don't let people think about it. Do let people think about it. They can always sign up later or online. If someone doesn't necessarily want to sign up for your club at that club or society at that moment, it might be worth encouraging them to just come along and try it. Rather than signing up, come along to one of the trial sessions or something like that, or a social or a mixer. Okay? And then lastly, just packing up at the end of the day. So at the end of the fair, ensure that you take your tables and chairs to the collection point. If your table is in square 2 or 3, that collection point is going to be by security. And if your table is on square 4 or 5, it will be outside the silver rail. Just for reference, if you're a sports club, you will be on square 5. That's guaranteed. Okay? It is your responsibility to take any items or equipment you have brought to the fair back with you or dispose of them in a responsible manner. If you can recycle things, please recycle them. Don't just throw them in the bin, because there's loads of waste every year over this. Sanctions will be put in place for stalls who do not adhere to this as well. If you're just going to leave your stuff there, you might not be coming back to Freshers Fair, or there might be other sanctions that can be put in place. If you have larger equipment or items, see if there are others from other societies or clubs or projects that might be able to help you move those, or see if you can get help from anyone who's around. And then maybe you can return the favour by helping them as well. Okay. Other than that, are there any questions from anyone in the room? Yes, go for it.
How would we hire someone from the bulletin board to take pictures, like the pictures and stuff?
Say that again for me, sorry.
How would we hire out on the bulletin board, like pictures and stuff? What would that cost?
I don't think we have a hiring out.
So just doing a board, but it's
Yeah.
We don't have one. In the past, I have emailed yeah. You can get sometimes get like a whiteboard or something, but it was being able to use. Yeah. You email the EMS help desk and just ask them if they have any kind of whiteboards available that you could use for it. That's usually a good thing because then they're on wheels, so you can move them around. Or alternatively, you could buy like a stand-up kind of poster thing from your society farmers, and that's a really great investment of a piece of equipment because then you can use that moving forward. I would probably recommend the second one, which is more likely to get that, but then who knows.
Any other question? Yeah. Okay.
It's not, it's very specific, but do you know because I'm planning on bringing acoustic for our society, and I was wondering if there is a mannequin somewhere here I could borrow, because I'm in creative writing department, so I wouldn't know what they have.
Not sure.
Have a chat with the Lakeside Theatre. I think if anyone's going to have one, it's them. I think the only other thing we would have is first aid. It's maybe that would be the closest thing, but yeah, I would say, yeah, have a chat to Hannah Solar, who is the manager of the Lakeside, and just see. I don't know if there's any looking around in the store.
There was one in the Tops cupboard, I don't know if it's still there, but a mannequin. Yeah, the bottom one and the top are the vintage ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, email them and they just email the administrator of the list department and then my one.
Anyone else? Go for it.
Is there like fees like last year?
No.
Not really, no.
Because-
You can do your own theme for your own society if you want to, but it's
Yeah.
not a theme overall.
We only themed it last year because in Holiday car park it was a bit.
Yeah.
So to try and make it feel less like world ending.
Just checking.
Yeah, that's the reason why. When it's in the squares, the atmosphere is, the squares itself carry its own kind of thing, so it makes an energy, so.
Anyone else? Go
For
for it.
example, I have a big speaker, it'll be a bit loud, it'll be a problem for that, like, for example, 2 weeks.
Do you want a speaker, did you say? Is there no music speaker?
Yeah.
We're
You need,
gonna have music
Yeah.
across the whole fair, so.
there will be a PA system playing music across the whole fair.
Yeah, the things like I will dance for my Saturdays, so music, so we should be a bit loud because we're not heard music.
Are you doing a performance?
Yeah, if you do a
So
performance,
when you do
that
a
would be.
performance, you'll be able to send your music to.
Yeah, we sent already, that's why like I'm asking, I think we'll go. Because I'm not sure, I will play it on my speaker, they will play music.
We'll have a PA
We'll get-
system
yeah.
set up,
Oh,
so you don't need to play any music.
okay.
You just need to make sure that the person running
Yeah.
the stage bit has the music and then they'll play it.
Anything else? Yeah, Connor? Is the what provided online, sorry? This session, yes. So we've recorded it. We'll put all the slides as well as the recording online, so you can access any of this for anyone who came in late. Yeah, it'll probably be on the exec resources part. Okay, so we will basically put a tutorial of how to get it, just to make sure everyone can access it. Anything else from anyone? Yes.
Will there be any chairs in the schools?
Any?
Chairs, we
What
have
chairs?
booked some. We basically asked for every available chair that we can get through the filtering. I think it will be about 250 chairs for the whole fair. So there will be some chairs. If you do have like camping chairs, we would strongly recommend.
Yeah.
We are trying to make as many available as we can, but there was a limit on how many they could give us.
Last year, it like booked them fast. Can you do that this year?
If there is a reason why you require a chair specifically, then you can share that with us and we will put something aside for those that will need a priority to book it, but in general, we won't need, just because to put up 250 stalls at 8 o'clock in the morning after a fresh week is long and brutal to then put out all the chairs as well. It's killer. I can't be kind to the people working that way. They're very tired.
So, yeah, go for it.
Is there gonna be like remember last year you had to book like a time slot for it?
No, it's literally anyone can turn up. You can go back and forth should you need to. Okay. Any other questions before we pass it over to the chat? So if we've got no. Has anybody in the chat got any questions at all, or in the Zoom call generally?
Hi, yeah, I've got a question.
Hold on.
Oh.
Very, very quiet. Go for it.
Do we have to register the members that are going to be behind our stall?
No, you don't need to register the people who are running a store now.
So you should log your hours,
Yes.
just log your hours.
Anyone else in the Zoom call got any questions? No, perfect. Okay, perfect. Right, thank you all for coming. I'm going to stop the recording there just before everyone just runs off.
There is another session.
Right, there you go, so starting the recording. There you go. Ooh.
Yeah, so with this, it says you don't need all bronze criteria to get silver. You do not meet all silver criteria to get gold. And then it's got the breakdown of points here. For every bronze level is worth 100 points, for every silver level is worth 200, gold worth 300. And then if you fall into these categories overall, after we've reviewed your all standards for your club society, then you will get that award, be it bronze, be it silver, be it gold. The maximum number of points available, if you have gold for every piece of criteria, as well as the 3 accepted submissions for celebrating excellence, is 3,300. The next slide just shows you a bit about what celebrating excellence means. It's on the standards document. Okay, thank you. So here, you might have an individual member, like say for a club who has achieved something at an international level, potentially or national level, or something maybe for a society you've been shortlisted for a particular award. And this is your opportunity to kind of show off and celebrate any successes you've had within your club and society. Each accepted submission is worth 300 points, so a maximum of 300 points will be granted for that particular section of the document. Do you all know where to locate the document on the website? You okay with that? If any of you want to show you where that is now, feel free to ask. Okay, you got, yeah? I can't hear you, sorry. Where can you find this? So I know where to find it for sport. I'm less certain for society, but if I show you the pathway for sport, Dobby, you okay, just bring up the internet, please. So if you go on EssexStudent.com, okay. Get to this section, activities. If you were doing it for a club, go to activities and then exec members resources. And then for clubs, you've got this section here on the exec member resources. Then you've got useful forms. And then basically within this, you've got the club standards document, which is here, okay? And this has been updated recently. So everything that we share with you today on the PowerPoint, we've taken screenshots from this document and included it. So you can see this is already featured in the PowerPoint shared you and included it in different sections of the PowerPoint, okay? All right. Okay. Oh God, hold on. Where is our one? Oh, you opened it your email, didn't you? Sorry, is that?
Let's close some of this down, shall we? There we go.
Perfect. So on the next one, Dobby, right, if I just hand over to you for the
Yeah, no worries.
next one, is that all right?
So in terms of how you fill out the forms, obviously, see this example on the screen, let's do on Zoom as well. So in terms of the criteria, as it says, 1 piece of criteria does not get you bronze, 3 pieces do not get you silver. You actually need to fulfill the whole bit for it to count. So I'm just going to move to the next slide. When you do send the information in, be mindful that some of if you've got pictures or videos that you want to submit, you might need to use something like a WeTransfer because the files might be too large for you to submit through a standard email. So yeah, in terms of how we've laid out the criteria, every single club, oh, bless you, every single club and society should have or should really be fulfilling the minimum of the bronze criteria. These are essentially the essential roles that we generally set out. So as you can see on there, president, vice president, or secretary, or as some people refer to it, some might have a vice president and a secretary because there are slightly different roles there, a treasurer and a welfare officer. So hopefully everyone will at least get 100 points for achieving the bronze section of the committee. The silver and the gold, as you'd expect, require a few more positions. So yeah, and obviously, I believe it's the same for societies. You can hold more than one position on a committee, but we restrict it to one core role per individual. And there's some simple reasons why we do that, because we obviously, you can't sign off your own expense forms if you're the president and the treasurer. That causes a problem. But we'll cover more of that when we do finance training. What's it say? The core 4 roles can be held between 3 people, with one person holding more. That's not strictly true. So in terms of, yeah, don't know if we go to the next slide. I'll come back to it. So in terms of the silver and the bronze, there might be slight name variations. So you might not call it social secretary, you might call it a slightly different position, but for the purpose of filling out this application, just put the individuals that are responsible in those boxes. And if you want to put in brackets what you call that role, that's fine. We do actually have a list of club and society committees, so we'll be able to double check against that to make sure no one's fibbing. Also, we do notice there's a sudden influx of new committee roles that are created around the time of standards being submitted. I wonder why that might happen, but obviously we would encourage you to look at the standards criteria. But from now, really, please don't leave it to the end of the year to go, okay, now we're going to submit our standards. So have a look at what categories you might need to have in your committees to fulfill bronze or bronze, silver, and hopefully gold. Okay. As it says, if you haven't already informed us who your designated officers are, please can you let us know? We can only communicate with the contact details that we have informed to us. So please don't go all year not receiving information from us because you haven't told us who your communications officer is, or any other role that there might be that we don't know. Yeah. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so volunteering. It's quite simple, this. So in terms of getting bronze, it's just 2 volunteering events for bronze, 4 for silver, 5 for gold. So if you do 5 different volunteering events over the course of the year, you've automatically got gold. 3 or more people must volunteer for an event to be valid for standards, and that could be made up of 3 exec members. Volunteering week next calendar year is between the 6th and 12th Feb. Yes, Al?
What counts as a volunteering event?
Volunteering event, anything that basically involves you giving up your time. So essentially, like Ray mentioned earlier, you're here today, you freed up your time to be here for this training. So this training counts as volunteering. You can register it on Grad Intel.
It doesn't count towards that.
It does, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm...
I think this is more volunteering events, like they're putting on a volunteering opportunity, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I know for clubs we say if they... Is that right, Dom? For clubs for training, they can count towards volunteering because they've given up their time, or not, is there? Just wanted to clarify that.
So this is a specific event criteria. There's 2 sections to volunteer.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused. But yeah, if you're doing like like for example, I know the tennis club have approached me and they're going out during welcome week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do some promo work. So that is freeing up their time to do that. So I'm guessing that would count for volunteering.
Yes, if you're volunteering your time to running your club or your society, so turning up for sessions, planning meetings and stuff like that, these are all things that you can log your hours for, because you're giving back to our community as part of these roles. A volunteering event is when you are organising an event which is giving back to the wider community as a whole. So it might be that you're participating, you're volunteering at a school, or you take part in the Big Spring Clean project, or it might be that you volunteered your time to go be part of the fireworks event and stuff like that. So if you, I guess an event basically is anything that goes beyond the sphere of your club and society. This is kind of going towards the wider community.
So if you take part in a volunteer event that's set up by the university, does that count for that?
Yes.
If you're volunteering, yes. Yeah.
So as it says on here, for it to count as a volunteering event, you do need at least 3 people from your club or society. Otherwise, it's more individual volunteering, which can still count towards sort of personal, like my Essex awards, or as a committee member, towards your amount of volunteering hours, which we'll come on to in a minute. But yeah, I would really encourage you all to get involved in, well, all volunteering events where you can, especially the volunteering week. We pride ourselves in being #1 in the UK for the amount of volunteering that happens specifically during that week. We have been for the last 3 or 4 years, the #1 university in the country, and we want to stay that way. So yeah, so there's a question just there.
What if you're into volunteering? Does volunteering groups start societies?
Yeah, so the volunteering, the actual standards here are specific standards for clubs and societies. But yes, we would expect all our volunteering projects to be engaged in volunteering week. But yeah, the individualized stuff still applies, like in terms of my Essex, is it chart my path? Trip over the words. Yeah.
So chart, yes, because they've changed.
Yeah.
But chart my path is, and the Big Essex Award is kind of where all this stuff is captured. So we cannot recommend you logging your hours more than we really do for you personally, because you guys are giving up so much of your time. And when you log your hours on Gradatel, you can apply for the Big Essex Award units, and then that's what then goes on your higher education achievement record. So when you graduate university and you're able to, you want to be able to sell, I was the president of this club and I did 100 hours towards this volunteering, which is all the really great stuff that when you get into job interviews that you want to show, that's your backup for it. That's the thing when they go, well, how do I know? You just go, well, it's on my higher education achievement record. So when we're always saying to you, log your hours, it's not because, we obviously do care and we want to know how many hours, because in the way the world works, it ties into funding and stuff. If we're able to say this many hours for things, we can support more within student activities, which in turn support you more. So, it's a win-win. But from a personal, really selfish position, it means that when you graduate and you're selling yourself at job interviews, you have it there, categorically down on paper what you achieve. That answer.
Right, okay, so we'll move to the next slide. Hopefully you're all with us still. So this is the bit that Rob was sort of touching on, is around executive volunteering. So there's 2 parts to the standards. There's the amount of events you do as a group, and then this is very much for individualized. So the point of here, what we're trying to get is we're trying to encourage, as you can see, bronze level, you need at least 25% of your committee fulfilling at least 5 hours of volunteering throughout the year. Now, bear in mind, any of you that are here, it's at least an hour of volunteering already logged. So it's I think it's fairly simple, fairly easy award to get, but you do need 25%. So what you can't have like one individual who goes, I'm going to do 1,000 hours of volunteering. That's volunteering to standards. You do all need to be engaged in it to get those awards. For Silver, you need 50% of your committee to fulfill volunteering, but the level of hours per person goes up to 10 hours. And then to get gold, you need 3/4, because we always know there's always essentially one person in the committee who's, for maybe very valid reasons, not able to fulfill certain hours of volunteering. So you need gold, 75%, and again, 10 hours. Bear in mind, people that win Volunteer of the Year awards, some people have logged over 500 or 600 hours. We're not asking a lot, cumulatively it adds up. So in terms of, yeah, so please note the percentage of your committee. Please don't just get rid of people on your committee right before the standard deadlines to try and fulfill that percentage. That's not very nice on them. And we would encourage you to work with your committee, discuss it as a committee in your meetings as to, okay, right, how are we going to achieve these 10 hours each? Maybe divide your committee up in terms of different events that you go and support. As it says here, just some worked examples. An exec team of 8 people would just need 2 members to create a profile and log at least 5 hours. And obviously, as it says, all the things that you get invited to come and listen and training, that all counts as well. And ultimately, if you are struggling for ideas, we do have a volunteering team as part of our activities team, award-winning volunteering team, I should say. And essentially, just go to essexstudent.com/volunteering. And it's probably not going to do it now. Just going to do it on here. On the Zoom, can you still see the slide, or can you see the V-Team website? Anyone on Zoom?
The V-Team website.
You can see it. Oh, perfect. Excellent. So this brings you to the main V-Team website, and it's got everything you need to know about the different projects. So just click on Discover and join our volunteering projects when it loads. We have in V-Team we have regular projects which happen sort of like weekly, and there's loads of fantastic different ones you could get involved in, or more often than not, clubs and societies would get involved in sort of one-off projects. So then this links you through to Grad Intel, which is where you should be logging all your hours, and that's also where you sign up to these actual projects. So as you can see on here, if any of you are interested in less than a couple of weeks' time, we've got the Colour Dash, which is open to all students or staff on campus. You might want to use that as one of your volunteering projects. So you might want to, who wouldn't want to throw paint at people and get the volunteering hours ticked off for doing that as well. So, or there's Colchester Film Festival as examples. So that's how you would find them. You click on it, bring you through, give you the information, and you can choose to register at that point. So now I'm going to try and navigate my way back to where I've come from. Hang on. This is it? Yeah, right, perfect. So there is a little video I want to show you. Hopefully this works. So, hang on, what have I done here? So you can always look back at how we we're going to have this recording on the website eventually. So,
It's currently on the meeting page on the website.
and it's also on there already. Okay, right.
I just do web stuff and then it's.
Fundraising, does that mean? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, fundraising. So this is another part of the standards criteria. And again, a bit like volunteering, I would stress that the numbers that we're asking you to sort of raise aren't as high as they possibly could be. We have lowered them in a couple of years ago. I think we lowered them. Really, for a club or even a society to raise £200 is not a big ask for the number of, for many of you, it's probably less than £1 a member. For some of the societies. So in terms of how you can raise that money, we do actually allow up to 50% of that fund to come from membership fees as well. So when you factor that in, it's only £100 of actual additional fundraising that you're going to need to try and do. Now, a lot of you hopefully will consider using Click. Thank you. A lot of you will maybe consider using Click as a way of doing some fundraising. Again, I think in this specific fundraising, is that covered in the finance training?
Yes.
The Click, yeah. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about Click, but yeah, bronze £200, silver £500, and gold £800. But yeah, please remember that you can use some of your memberships to account towards that. So yeah, but plan in terms of events you're going to do, how you're going to fundraise, and obviously, it might be that you run an event and you charge a small bit of money, which you can raise money for yourselves. It doesn't always have to be about external charities. We are a charity ourselves, and as clubs and societies. So I'll move on. Yeah, if you are interested, or if any of you that got access to the web pages, you will be able to find out how much money you've raised through memberships, as well as the weekly reports that get sent out to treasurers and presidents. You can actually at any point log into your website, and through the admin tools at the top of the page, you should be able to click on sales reports, adjust the dates that you're looking at. So the academic year starts from the 1st of August. So if you just put it from 1st of August to the date that you're looking at, run a sales report, and that will tell you how many members you have actually signed up, have paid or signed up to your club or society. And that will be the most accurate report that you'll have. Sometimes the weekly reports you get, it doesn't always pull through any data that may have been done that day, because it's done on it's done through the bank. So that has to be updated first. So if you want to know the most accurate, you can do an online report. And likewise, if you want to know, rather than how many sales, you want to know who's bought memberships. So let's say you're running an event and you sold some tickets earlier in the day. You can run a purchasers report, and that will tell you who's bought the ticket, when they bought the ticket. So even as long as you refresh the page, that will give you the most up-to-date information that you need. Yeah, still me? That's cool. So another section, very important section, and again, I can't stress, we're not asking for a lot. This is to do with committee meetings. So hopefully most of you have already scheduled, if not hosted, your first committee meetings of the year with your teams. As part of standards, we require a minimum of 4 recorded meetings. This is in the year for bronze, 8 for silver, and 10 for gold. I personally would expect well-run clubs and societies to be meeting, if not every week, every other week, and scheduling a well-thought-out agenda. If you have any questions on how to sort of run meetings, if you're a bit nervous how to chair a meeting, then we can help you as well.
Would committee meetings with this year's exec, which took place in the last academic year, count towards this? Does it have to be in this academic year?
We generally have a cut-off point. I think we started, so anything after Easter. So basically anything that couldn't count for last year's applications can be used for this year's applications. Although I personally would say I don't think it's hard to get 10 from this point through to April, but yes, you could in theory, as long as it wasn't like, oh, we're only logging 4 and they will happen between April and September, and then nothing happens for the rest of the year. It's probably not a good sign of a well-run activity, and I'm sure that won't happen. So yeah.
Recording it and recording it, or recording it and writing it down?
So you'll need some way of
Minutes.
minuting it. That's not saying that we want you to every week send us your minutes, but we might ask for evidence. So if you put down some dates, and we might randomly choose clubs or societies just to make sure that the evidence is there should we need it. But it could be as simple as just an email that you quite often, I imagine, minutes might get emailed to people. So if you've got that in your sent items, you can just ping that across to us if we need to ask for it with like a list of actions. Yeah.
I'd say we strongly recommend that if you're not doing it already, like at the end of the meeting, getting some, secretary or your vice president to just bullet point. It doesn't have to, I think everyone gets a bit intimidated by minutes. I know I was the first one I had to do them. Literally bullet pointing the discussions that were had, and then putting in bold the actions. So saying Dom is going to do this by the next meeting, Ray is going to do this by the next meeting, because the reason why it's on there is because it makes you very effectual, like as an executive team. And I think the biggest conflicts we actually get a lot of time is people saying, oh, they're not pulling their weight, they're not doing this thing. And then if you've got the minutes that kind of say you need to do this task by this thing, and that's what you agreed to do, it helps kind of keep everyone to account. But also, you're all very, very busy people, and so it helps keep a track for yourself. Like, I don't think I could survive a lot of our meetings without having minutes come out at the end and going, yes, of course, I've got to get that done. Let me get that done quick before that next meeting. So it's best practice, and that's why it's on there. Not because we're just checking up on what you're doing. Yeah. That's not the case.
Yeah. Once you've done it a few times, it gets quite simple. Generally, that's a role the secretary or the vice president might do, but you might decide that you want to share that out as a committee, and someone takes the first few meetings, and then someone else takes the next few meetings, because it is quite hard. It might just be me, but if you're trying to minute take and talk and contribute in the same meeting, it's quite hard to get all those notes down. So I'm sure it's not just me. So yes, as it says at the bottom there, Zoom meetings, online meetings can count. It's fine. And just again, you might find make it easier for the minute taker, you might want to record your meeting and then get the notes from that meeting, and then just make sure you delete that file. Yeah, I think that's the main points on there. So possibly the final one from me, and then I'll pass over to the other guys. Organisation criteria. So this is probably one of the bulkiest areas, but you'll be pleased to know, actually, a lot of you have already completed most of this. So the first part on there, it's around compulsory documents. So we ask clubs and societies to sign or approve social media charter, alcohol policy, code of conduct, constitution. For clubs, we require an inventory of any equipment that they have, a risk assessment which you have to be able to do your activities anyway, and then a declaration of financial responsibility. When you all ran for your roles in the elections, just to make it a bit more efficient, you actually all ticked a box to say that you had read all those forms and approved to all those forms, or majority of those forms. So you've already completed, you already started your journey on getting at least a bronze. We also have a requirement in here for you to make sure that your Students' Union pages are correct and up to date. So if you could have a look at them, it was useful to make sure any new students that are on potential members are looking at the most up-to-date information and not got the old committee on the page or events that are promoting something from 2019. It doesn't look great for your society or your club if you're promoting something from 3 years ago. Making sure that, I can't read that.
President, welfare and social secretary, where roles exist, must have all attended, yes, the active bystander training. So we'll be planning some of that in beginning of October. Compliance with terms of reference, attendance at all compulsory student activity training sessions. This is one of them. Or to watch back the training, and we'll have some way of verifying whether you've done that, those that aren't here. Plan, so for Silva is plan of, can you read that? It's all on the website anyway, so just have a look. But basically, yeah, there's more and more things that we add in there to get to silver and gold. Some of the other things in there are around handovers. So you may get to the end of the year, you think, oh, I'm done with the role. It's really, really important that you give the person taken over from you, unless you're carrying on again, a suitable handover in how to do that role. So you might have learned things along the way you wish that you'd have known, a year earlier, the handover of how to do the role. Don't forget to do this. Make sure you come to the training, listen to Dom talk to you about standards. It's all really important, etc., etc. So yeah, it's all on there. If you do have any questions, just drop us an email. We will try our very best to help. We want all our clubs and societies to achieve as high a standards as they can. It is reflective on how well, generally speaking, clubs and societies are run. So I think if I was a new student going to a university, I'd probably be interested to see who's gold, who's silver, who's bronze, and who hasn't bothered. So yeah, that's organisation criteria. And I'm going to hand over to Rob. Social events.
Okay, social events is another section of the standards. So if you hold 10 social events throughout the course of the year, then you will qualify, with at least 3 people attending, you qualify for gold. And I think it's really important to kind of structure your social events around the interests of your members. So social events can include things such as quizzes, social board games nights. Try to get sober socials in there too, for those who don't drink, and can all contribute to this section. Engagement criteria. With Freshers' Fair approaching, it's really important for you to let us know if there's any barriers to you engaging with that event. So it's a really important event for you to attend because it gives you a platform to reach new members and to kind of raise the profile of your club or society. And we don't want you to miss out on taking part in that event. So please let us know. There were some clubs last year who had no presence at Freshers' Fair. It really affected their recruitment for members for their clubs and their performance in bucks. So yeah, really important that you attend where possible. Also think about how you could possibly utilise Rebel so to get involved in some potentially media-based events. So feel free to kind of find out more about Rebel through that website address there, because that's just another way of kind of engaging with the community and again making them aware of that your club society exists. You might be short of ideas potentially for ways of interacting with student communities, and that's where you could really utilise the expertise and influence of our sabbatical officers. So Flazzy is VP Community and Engagement, and Marcus is VP International. So if you're thinking of ways to kind of reach communities on a larger scale, please reach out to those 2 sabbatical officers and see if they've got any kind of events which are coming up which you can maybe dovetail off the back of. Do you know how to find details of our SABs? Because they're available on the website. If you'd like me to kind of signpost that now, let me know. Okay. And then all the standards for bronze, silver and gold are here. I'll just read you through bronze. I think most of you probably have got a lot of these in place already. To have an active social media account and have at least 1 post per fortnight. There are, some of you might be new to your club society. You may not have been on last year's committee. I guess that might apply to the vast majority of you here. And you might have accounts which you don't have the usernames and passwords for. So I'd encourage you to kind of reach out to the relevant officer who is responsible for your social media channels last year and see if you can get those details. I know there's like some accounts that I see for clubs and they've been like dormant for 2 or 3 years. It doesn't really reflect particularly well on the club because we all know the power of social media and what a positive impact it can have. Host an online welcome event. Have at least one social activity per month, including online. I'm just going to ask Don for clarification. Are we still insisting on that now that COVID is not so much an issue?
No.
Okay.
I would suggest, so long as you demonstrated that you are actively arranging or attending socials as a club or a society, I think that's one area. The online bit was on there last year because there was a hybrid working, but the university's expectation is that people are now returning in person. You may still want to do online events and we would still support it because that's not to say that you don't have members who, I don't know, might be commuting students who are members of your club or society who can't always come in person, and you might want to do like an online quiz or other things exist, but that's one of the most popular things online. Or you've got like collectively watching films and that kind of thing, which you can do obviously online. There's like Netflix parties and that kind of stuff, isn't it? So yeah, we wouldn't discourage it, but likewise, we're probably not gonna say you haven't done an online event, therefore you're not getting that award. Yeah.
Thanks. Collaborating once with Rebel, which I've referred to there, is another criteria of gold. Bronze, sorry, this can be writing an article, hosting a radio show, just to name a few things. When you move into silver, it's attending Freshers' Fest. That's a given. I hope you're going to be there. Okay. Moving on now to Cobby, who's our VP Student Experience.
Okay, so the Bucks criteria. The Bucks criteria is a new set of criteria coming this academic year, and it only applies to the Bucks clubs. So the standards and associated amount required is specific to the teams within a club. For example, 4 teams in badminton club. So the bronze standard is based on a 50% of the teams achieving their target. These are due to be shared at meetings with club committees later this month, early next month. For example, 2 of the 4 badminton teams achieved their target. The club achieved bronze standard for the Bucks criteria. The gold standard links to exceeding the Bucks points target set by 10%. For example, if the target for a club was 10 Bucks points and the club achieved 11 points or more, they'd achieve the gold standard. So providing extra evidence. Certain sections of the application form require evidence. So for example, proof of executive committee meetings. We recommend either taking screenshots of evidence or sending documents through email. Please send all evidence in a zip file so it's all in one place. You may need to send a folder of evidence through WeTransfer if the folder is too large to send via email. Please title the folder with your club / society name and create subfolders for different sections of the application. We'll be going through hundreds of pieces of evidence, so the simpler for us, the better. The more evidence, the better. It means less chance of emailing you asking for evidence after you've submitted your application. So to get started now, these are a few events that will be taking place after this. So the banner making workshops, that will be on Friday, the 23rd of September. We also have more banner making workshops on Monday, the 26th of September. We have 2 separate sets. Yeah, so we've got 3 separate sets. I didn't see the last one. So we've also got the same workshops on Tuesday, the 27th as well. So those 3 dates are for the banner making workshops. And we've also got the SU Colour Dash on the grass pitches. That will also be on Tuesday, the 27th of September. We've been through a lot of meetings about the Colour Dash, and we think it's going to be a really fun event that everyone is welcome to go to. It's also highly recommended that we pick up Blades memberships on the day, because a Blades membership is free, so it'd be recommendable to pick one of those up. And Freshers Fair on Friday, the 7th of October, which is an all-day event and can count towards executive volunteering law criteria. That's definitely something that everyone should be looking to attend.
So just to clarify, Freshers Fair will count towards exec volunteering, but it won't count towards an event volunteering. It's a compulsory thing that we'd expect every public society to go to. However, the other events that have been listed, you can use towards events. It's just, yeah, we're not making it way too easy. We do want a little bit of extra stuff in there. So, but hopefully that has covered most, if not all, of standards. But now's an opportunity. If anyone does have any questions that immediately come to mind, please ask now, and we can try our best to answer them. Or if you go away and have a chat with the rest of your committees and subsequently have any questions, you can always ask us. And we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Obviously, it's quite a busy period of time. But yeah, if you don't have any questions, you're free to go. And thank you very much for your time. And make sure you record your hours on Grad Intel and start your COB standards or society standards today. Thank you. Thank you everyone online.